Dear students, today we are going to begin lecture 3. In previous 2 lectures, we have completed 2 topics of unit 1, that is nature of language. First topic was what is language, oral or written. We discussed about it. And the second topic is difference between bhasha, vak and vadi, and we have already gone through this topic elaborately by giving so many evidences, basically 4 evidences from the ancient knowledge corpus starting from the Rig Veda itself, and then we tried to understand a lot of things related with the dimensions of bhasha, and then we stopped for understanding deeply and elaborately. We are going to begin the next topic, that is topic 3. Third topic is spoken and compositional language. And as you can see on the screen, we have so many of the subtopics to cover under the same main topic, that is spoken and compositional language. So, we will begin from the same. As I have told you that in Sanskrit tradition, we have Pāṇini, the famous grammarian. But in actuality or in reality, Pāṇini is not only the grammarian for the Sanskrit, he is a grammarian of bhasha. He is a Vyākaraṇa of bhasha. So, Pāṇini's grammar is a grammar of speech and composition both. When I use the word speech, it means that it is related with orality. And when I say composition, that means it is related with the written version or some kind of text. And composition is also not necessarily to be written, because in Indian tradition we had this practice to compose the things orally, and oral dissemination was practiced. And that is why in compositional part also script is not the dominating character. In the same way, we are going to enter into the elaborate realm, or you can just say the field of study of Indian knowledge corpus, just to understand this phenomena of orality in speech also and in composition also. A distinction here there is an important understanding, that is the distinction which is made between the spoken language and its abstracted variant, which is language of the composition like of the Vedas. For example, Vedas are considered to be a composition, but the language of the Vedas is also not scriptural. It is not dominated with the scripture or written mode. It is also dominated of the oral dissemination. It was disseminated orally by the teacher, by the guru, by the rishi to the disciples. Spoken language has many variants, but the variant which is used in composing the text is fixed, because once you have composed something, that is going to be fixed automatically. Sanskrit as a language has many variations, so it has many variants in its composition also and in spoken one also. Prātiśākhya is a text which is dealing with the variations of different branches of the Vedas, and we will study what is Prātiśākhya, because here itself you will get a question, what is Prātiśākhya? So, as we are going to enter in the detailed understanding of Indian knowledge corpus, we will understand what is Prātiśākhya granthas. There are 6 Vedāṅgas. Vedāṅga means ang plus Veda, that means auxiliary sciences, a kind of a part of a Vedic corpus which is dealt to understand the Vedas. They are also dealing with the language of the Vedas. There are 6 Vedāṅgas. They are named as Śikṣā, Kalpa, Vyākaraṇa, Chanda, Nirukta and Jyotiṣa. We are going to enter to understand this corpus of knowledge which is directly related with the language or the study of the language. Language is the basic trait of all. It is inherently present in everyone, or you can say everywhere. That is why it is inherently present in all. Even the cosmos has its own language. When I will take the course to the peak, that means that at the end, maybe 30th lecture, 13th and 36th lecture, then I will explain how this statement is going to be the highest possible reality you have ever known. That language is inherent in all, and the cosmos also has its own language. those special persons who do not possess any unfaulty cognitive apparatus, they also possess a well-defined set of language. The way of expression of oral sounds in the written mode gives rise to different symbols and the notions which are artistic in nature. That is why these notions compose the script. We have already discussed this part in the previous lectures, that script is the artistic expression of the language. Indian knowledge systems deeply and elaborately investigated the study of the language or the topic of the language because they belonged to the oral tradition, where a vast corpus of knowledge of immense importance was required to be preserved in the minds of the people. That is why in the previous lectures also I told you that knowledge is inside of us, that is within us. So, it is not, as it is not outside of us or out of us, we have to keep in mind that whatever we learn, that must be present in our minds, not only in the copies or written versions. This does not mean that we or as an Indian, as a part of Indian knowledge systems, as a generation belonging to Indian subcontinent, we did not have the script. It is not the truth, because we were focused on the orality of the language or the speech or the spoken version. It was not like that we did not have a script or the written one, and the evidence for the same we are getting it from the Pāṇini's Ashtadhyayi. In Ashtadhyayi, he is using the word lipi at several instances, and if you try to date back Pāṇini, it is approximately 700 BC. That means till the 700 BC it was well accepted as a fact also, with evidences also, that we had lipi, that means written mode of language. So, it is not like we are belonging to an oral tradition, we have dominancy of orality in our day-to-day routine or understanding. We did not have the script, no. We had, but we did not give the script so much of importance that it is the only, it came to us like script is the only thing which needs to be studied as a part of a language or as a character of language. Okay. The orality of language is the determining factor for the continuous change. Otherwise, language would have become a museum piece. There are two basic divisions available in all the languages. One is the static one and second is the fixed one. Second one is the dynamic and the static one is the fixed one, because it belongs to the corpus which is written in mode, in nature. But the second one, that is dynamic in nature, keeps on changing every time, and that is why Sanskrit also has the variations, as a spoken one also and as a compositional one also. As the orality dominates the script, so the utterance is in the centrality, and utterances have variations. Despite of these variations, the meaning is comprehended among different speakers and the language is learned by hearing the words. So, we are focused on listening to the other person's speech when we start learning the language. It is not like if we just practice by just in writing, we will learn the language. No, we have to listen to the words. The more we listen to that particular kind of words, we will acquire them automatically. That is why language is acquired by listening, by hearing the words and the sounds, different sounds. Then automatically we become able to join or combine them and to speak them. For understanding these two subsections, or you can say this much of discussion with the reference of Indian knowledge corpus, we have to understand the corpus itself. What is the corpus? Indian knowledge tradition has a vast corpus of knowledge. So, we are going to enter into that particular subhead. So, classification of knowledge based on the Upanishads, as you can see on the screen, that here dve vidye veditavve itiha sma yad brahma vido vadanti para chaiva paracha. What does this mean? Those who have realized Brahma. Brahma vido vadanti. Brahma vido means the one who knows Brahma. Who is Brahma? What is Brahma? Brahma is pure consciousness or ultimate reality. So, those who have already realized Brahma, or pure consciousness or ultimate reality, they say, what they say? They say that we should be knowing two vidyas, dve vidye, two types of knowledges, two types of possible vidya. So, dve vidye veditavve, we should be knowing two types of vidyas. What are they? Para chaiva paracha. There, here's sandhi is done. Cha eva apara. That means cha means and, ev means and this one also. Ev is also. Apara is the second one. So, one is the para and second is apara. So, what does this mantra is saying? This mantra is from Mundakopanishad. Mundakopanishad is one of the Upanishads. And what does it say? Here it is mentioned that the one Brahmavida, the one who has already realized ultimate or pure state of consciousness, they say, that means Rishi is saying, they have already told us, they have said it, like we should be knowing two types of knowledges or two types of vidyas. One is Paravidya and second is Aparavidya. So, in the diagram in figure 1.1, you can see that Vidya is classified into two parts, two possible types. One is Paravidya, second is Aparavidya. So, Paravidya is having no Shastra and Aparavidya is having Shastra. How? By the second next line, which is available in Mundakopanishad. I am reading it. Tatrapara Rigvedo Yajurvedaha Samavedo Atharvavedaha Śikṣā Kalpo Vyākaraṇam Niruktam Chando Jyotiṣam iti Atha Parayaya Tadaksharam Adhigamyate. Now, what's the meaning of this mantra? There apara. What is apara? Tatra means there. Apara, apara vidya. What is what this word itself constitute of? Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, four Vedas. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. Śikṣā, Kalpa, Vyākaraṇa, Chanda, Nirukta, Jyotiṣa. 6 Vedāṅgas. So, apara vidya constitute of Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. Then Śikṣā, Kalpa, Vyākaraṇa, Chanda, Nirukta and Jyotiṣa. So, in totality 4 Vedas, 6 Vedāṅgas, they in totality constitute apara vidya. That means they are Shastra. When we say Shastra, you have to understand these are Shastras. 4 Vedas, 6 Vedāṅgas. Now, further it is saying Atha para. Atha means now. Para, what is para? Yaya tadaksharam adhigamyate, through which aksharam, I told you in the previous lecture, what is akshara? Aksharam charanam na gacchati, ksharam na gacchati, jiska nash nahi hota, that which is indestructible, that is akshara. So, the ultimate reality, the pure state of consciousness that doesn't go destruction, that doesn't undergo any kind of destruction, that is akshara. So, through which that akshara gets known to us or is known to us, that is known as Paravidya. That's why Paravidya has no Shastra. Let us take an example to understand this concept. Suppose you ask a person about an address. You have to go or you have to reach. For example, you have to reach PPA, right? And you are asking someone, where is PPA? And some person told you that you take a left turn, then you take a right turn, then there will be a banyan tree, then there will be a Nescafe, then go ahead, there will be a building that known as PPA, you will get the address. So, now the person has indicated you the passage, the path. This is done by Shastras. When we study or read the Shastras, they indicate us the path towards our destination. But what needs to be done? The journey needs to be undertaken by you. Maybe you are not coming from that road where the Nescafe is, you are coming from the other side of the road. So, you have to take the journey. The person has indicated you that this kind of building is named as a PPA, but you have to find it out. So, finding out the destination is your own journey, and for that you do not need any Shastra, that is experience based. Once you travel, you will get the experience, and that will your Paravidya. That is empirical knowledge. So, Paravidya does not have a Shastra because it is experience based, it is our own experience, we have to undertake that journey. So, Para does not have any Shastra. Shastra is Aparavidya, and whatever discipline we are right now studying, does not matter to which branch you belong, that is all Shastra, and that is Aparavidya. They indicate you how to reach to your destination, but they can't take you to that destination. The journey needs to be undertaken by you only. So, the second one, Paravidya, does not have a Shastra. It is experience based, it is empirical in nature. So, Upanishads say that we must be knowing two types of Vidyas. One is Paravidya, second is Aparavidya. And when you know both of them, and in very general understanding, or you can say in superficial comparison, you can say like, ma'am, this is theory portion, this is practical portion. When we understand that something is theoretically presented to us, that becomes a Shastra, and when we apply it, that becomes the Paravidya. It is empirical, it is experience based because we did the practical, right. So, in that kind of comparison, you can understand the Para and Apara as a practical one and the theoretical one, but not literally or exactly. Why I am saying this one? Because in the context of modern sciences, we use the words practical and theoretical with reference of some frameworks, with reference of pre-setted structures, but here the concept of Para and Apara does not have a pre-setted format in which you have to frame or you have to set everything. No, it is not like that. That is why I am saying not exactly, but in general understanding, for better understanding, you can relate it like that. But Upanishads say that we have two types of, we have to, or we should know two types of Vidyas, Para and Apara. Now, moving ahead, one step ahead, you can see in the chart what are the Indian knowledge systems, what is Indian knowledge corpus. So, in the center, the yellow light is Chidatma. The word Chidatma is derived from the two words, one is Chid, then second is Atma. Chid means luminous pure consciousness, luminous pure consciousness. Chid, luminous pure consciousness has a property of intelligence. That means an intelligent, luminous, pure consciousness which is residing inside of us. You all can feel yourself, you all can feel that you are in existence, you all can experience that you are intelligent, you are able to know the things, you all can feel that you are able to perceive the things, that means you are luminous. We cannot see in the dark room, right? If there is no light in this hall, you won't be able to see anything. But still, you will try to find some way to identify the objects. How? By the luminosity present inside of you, not by the outside lights. So, you are luminous. So, our consciousness has a property of intelligence, luminosity, and being a complete energy form, that is Chidatma. So, Chidatma means we or any entity as a creature, that is Chidatma. Now, Chidatma is encircled with so many of the layers. Circles are presenting primary sciences, and then rectangles, in the rectangles whatever the columns and rows are available, they are representing allied sciences. So, we as a basic understanding, it is not like this chart is complete or sufficient in itself, because when I will touch these allied sciences, the number crosses the 64, that is the list is of 64s which are available here in the diagram, but the list goes beyond number 64. So, it is not like this is much or this is the sufficient or this is the only thing, but still for our understanding we will start like in the circles we have first 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. Second, we have 6 Vedāṅgas, Śikṣā, Kalpa, Vyākaraṇa, Chanda, Nirukta and Jyotiṣa. Then in the third circle we have Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra, and in the fourth one Varta, Kama Sutra, Shilpa Shastra and Danda Niti. These are the total 18. If you calculate all of them, they are 18, and that's why the number is Ashtadasha. Ashtadasha in Sanskrit we know. Ashta means 8, Dasha means 10. So Ashtadasha means 18. So 18 Vidya Sthanani or 18 primary sciences in the circles. And then in the side or in the rectangle mode, whatever the available sciences are there, they are allied sciences and they are 64 in numbers. So we will understand all of them one by one. First, let us start with the 18 primary sciences. Ashtadasha Vidya Sthanani. 4 Vedas, Riga Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. 6 Vedāṅgas, Śikṣā, Kalpa, Vyākaraṇa, Chanda, Nirukta and Jyotiṣa. Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra 4 and Varta, Kama Sutra, Shilpa Shastra, Danda Niti, last 4. 64 allied sciences are also understood as 64, the number 64 in Sanskrit, what is the term? Chatuhu Shashtihi. Chatuhu means 4. Shashti means 60. So it becomes Chatu Shashtihi. Chatu Shashti Kalaha. Allied sciences are named with the term Kalaha. They are skill based knowledges. That's why they are Kala. So we do not have this classification of art background and science background. We think like we are right now practicing, we have evolved it. No, it's not like. We had the concept of understanding as a mixed structure. Each of the kala has a science. That's why even a carpenter who practices how to make anything also can practice, also has a knowledge of sciences to use the tools. If the person is so illiterate as we think of right now, the person couldn't have been able to measure out, to cut and to join. That is also a science. So in our understanding, in Indian understanding, each of the kala has a basic science, and that's why 64 allied sciences were having the sciences included. This classification which has created a kind of misconception in us that the branch of arts is something else, the branch of sciences is something else. This is not the hard and fast rule. This is not the correct one also. So in Indian knowledge corpus, we have 18 primary sciences, 64 allied sciences. The allied sciences were numbered and renumbered from time to time with the passage of time as per the requirements in the society. The ideal number which is available to us, it is 64. Few references are listed here where we find the number as of more than 64 also. For example, Samavaya Sutrani mentions 87, Lalit Vistar mentions 86, Panchal, this is also a text where 104 is a number of the allied sciences. Kalpantar Vachyani, this text mentions 72 Kala, Shukraniti Sar 64, Kama Sutra of Vatsyan 64, and here whatever we are going to study in the next coming tables, the enumeration is done as per the Kama Sutra of Vatsyayan, where the number 64 is dealt in detail. So now for understanding this classification, this complete corpus, 18 primary sciences, 64 allied sciences, we can classify the modes of classification of Shastra also. Because in Indian understanding, it was not hard and fast rule that one person laid down a particular type of concept and on the basis of that also always everyone will understand the classification of the Shastras. It was not like that. So here you can see in the diagrams we have so many different figures, different types of different modes of classification. Like in figure 1.2, we have the classification of the Shastra in Shruti and Smriti. 1.3, Shastra is classified as Agam and Nigam. 1.4 figure shows you Shastra can be classified as Shruti, Smriti, then Kavya. 1.5 shows you Shastra can be Paurusheya, Aparusheya, contingent and non-contingent. 1.6, the diagram is showing you Shastra can be Prabhu Sammit, Shruhada Sammit and Kanta Sammit. 1.7, the figure 1.7 is showing you 5 possible types of the Shastras: Drishta, Prokta, Upajyata, Vyākyaṇa, Krita. And we are going to understand each one of them separately. Let us take the first diagram, 1.2, that is, if we classify Shastra into two categories, two major categories, that is Shruti and Smriti, then what are the possible what are the possible fields or what are the possible constituents? So, before entering into the description, let us understand what is a Shastra. If somebody asks you what is Shastra or define Shastra, so you can define it like, what is Shastra? Pravrittirva nivrittirva nityena kritakena va punsamayena upadishyante tat shastram abhidiyate. What does it mean? Pravritti means to engage into some task, like you have been engaged into this class. So, you have been made to work or to execute this kind of understanding or to possess this kind of understanding. That is why you have been scheduled for this class. This is pravritti. So, this first one, Shastra is that kind of entity which deals with to discipline, to make a discipline in the students or in any person to execute something, pravritti. Then nivritti, prohibition. You do not do this kind of work, otherwise you will regret or you will face consequences in the form of loss. So, nivritti. So, prohibition, first is to make you enable or in getting engaged in accomplishing something, pravritti. To prohibit you in doing something is nivritti, pravrittirva nivrittirva. Then the third word is nityena kritakena va, that means nitya means daily, kritak means that must be performed. So, that must be performed daily, like you should take bath daily and regularly, you should brush your teeth daily and regularly. So, whatever should be practiced daily and regularly, that is the third one. So, either it is making you to perform something, or it is prohibiting you in to perform something, or it is enabling you to perform the daily routine work or routine task, that is nityena kritakena va. Punsam yena upadishyante, punsam means manushyanam, to the human beings. Punsam yena upadishyante, through which that kind of upadesh is done. Upadesh is not like the upadesh of modern times. Upadesh is that kind of thing. Upadesh word has inherent meaning of practice. If I will just preach you something and I won't practice it myself, that is not upadesh. Upadesh can be done only when you have practiced by yourself, and then you are telling someone else to do the same thing, because you have already taken that experience by performing this kind of work and by not performing this kind of work or performing these kind of things in daily routine. That is why you are eligible enough to give the upadesh, to preach others, that is upadesh. So, this kind of knowledge is being given to the persons through which punsama yena upadishyante tat shastram abhidiyate, that is known as Shastra. So, if somebody asks you define Shastra, so Shastra has 3 characteristics. One, it makes you to participate in anything or to perform anything. Second, it prohibits, it can prohibit you. Third, it shows you the way of daily behavior. These 3 kind of tasks are done by, or these 3 kinds of instructions are laid down by that kind of entity, that is known as a Shastra. So, Shastra is basically dealing with the 3 basic type of instructions for performing, for prohibiting, or for daily prescriptions. Now, let us go to the division, that is Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is what? Shruti means, Shruti has a root shru. Shru means listening, hearing something. The root shru is denoting us to listen something, to hear something. So Shruti is based on the directly perceived knowledge of the rishis, which was later on told to the other students or other disciples or other ones, and it was as it was received by listening, that's why it is named as Shruti, or it is known as Shruti. It is based on the Shruti parampara, listening to the things. Just like you are listening to me, I am not forcing or not making you habituated with writing the things. I am trying to make you so attentive in the class that you can catch whatever is being told by directly listening to it. So this is Shruti parampara. Your oral tradition is dominating of what? Disseminating the things orally and then catching the things by listening to the things. Okay. So Shruti parampara is based, or Shruti is directly perceived knowledge, which is directly perceived by whom? Rishi. What is the derivation of Rishi? I have explained in the previous lecture. Rishayaha mantra drishtaraha. Rishis are those who have directly perceived mantras, and those mantras are present in the corpus of the Veda. So the Shruti is directly perceived knowledge by the rishis in the form of the mantras received by later ones through the listening, and it is without a known end, known beginning and a known end, that is Anadi Anant, where the same word was used in the Vakyapadyam of Bhartrihari, Anadi Nidhanam Brahma. Shabd Tattvam Yadaksharam, that means Anadi, jiska beginning pata nahi hai, without a known beginning. Ananta, that means jiska ant pata nahi hai, without a known end. So Anadi Ananta, this tradition doesn't have a known beginning and a known end. Now for the same literature, Shruti corpus, we have another word, that is Ved. So we must be understanding what is the purpose, what is the relevance of the term Veda itself. Veda term represents knowledge, because Veda term is derived from the Vid Jnane root. Vid is the root, and Vid the root is used with the reference of knowledge. Jnane means to know. So in whatever we know, that becomes knowledge. So in turn, the term Ved represents knowledge. Now for the same corpus, we have the third word, that is Samhita. Third is Samhita, and this term represents the spoken text which we have in the name of Rik Samhita, etc. Now Samhita is very important to, as in the previous lectures I have explained you the process of Sandhi. Sandhi is what? Fusion of the sounds. When I am speaking fluently, I may fuse a lot of sounds together. It's automatic, it is happening in each and every kind of language. Doesn't matter it is Sanskrit or not, okay. So Samhita means conjoining of the words or the pada. So a kind of combination where the fusion of so many of the sounds is happening. So whenever we speak fluently in any of the language, we fuse too much of the sounds, and this fusion creates a Samhita. So when we recite the mantras of the Ved, that becomes a Samhita because it is spoken, and at that time we don't make a separation between two or more than two words. So pada nahi hota wahan. Each word is not separated, that is Samhita. So for the same literature, that means for the same literature of the corpus of Vedic knowledge, we have the three words. One is the Shruti, second is the Veda, third is Samhita. Now the next fourth one is the Chandas, the word Chandas. The language which is used in the written text of the Vedas is compositional language, which is bound in meter, and that's why they are known as Chandas. Bound in meter, how? Because suppose I want to give you any kind of handouts. I stop giving you the written material, and I force you, I make you habituated with learning in that way that you listen to me in the class, then you just can contemplate it later on, and by contemplating within yourself, you have to again teach it to other person without any written material. So what will be the brevity? लघुता किस में होगी, प्रिसाइसनेस या कह सकते हैं कंफर्ट किस में होगा, व्हाट विल बी द पॉसिबल कंफर्टेबल मेथड. I will make it bound in a meter. I will give you the knowledge in a form which can be sung. जैसे इसी क्लास में गाना सुनाया जाए, जो पढ़ाना चाहती हूँ उसे गाने की तरह सुनाने लग जाऊँ. So if I use that kind of knowledge, that kind of way of teaching in which I am singing something, and through that song itself I make you to learn or to memorize it for a longer period of time, it will be bound in a meter. छांदस हो जाएगा. It will be bound in a meter. So meter is chand. In Vedic mantras we have chand. Chand means you have to make the sounds louder, then slower, then louder, then slower, somewhere in the middle, and then you have to make them in a chorus way that can be matched at the end. So it will be completely like it can be sung very easily together. So that's why Vedic mantras are orally disseminated, they are bound in a meter. So the complete corpus is known as chandas. This is the fourth word for the same kind of literature. Now, the next is in order to preserve the vast body of literature which possess important knowledge in oral form, Vedas are preserved in many versions of recitation, and these versions are known as pathas. This is very important. This point is going to show you how much laborious our ancestors were. What is being done? Suppose in any mantra we have 5 words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as we are not making habituated, we are not making ourselves habituated with the written one. So what is being done in the class? I am singing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you are listening to it, then you are passing the same thing to the other one, and in the sequence of passing to the other generations, thousands of the years, for thousands of the years, it may happen that the sounds may get changed. So for preservation of that kind of particular word, what is done? They recited in different ways, like 1, 2, 2, 1, then 2, 3, 3, 2, going ahead, going forward, then going back 1. 1, 2, 2, 1, then 2, 3, 3, 2, then 3, 4, 4, 3, then again this is one way of recitation, so that they cannot, they don't miss the original word, number 1, this kind of part. Then suppose they are using the set of 3, 1, 2, 3, then 3, 2, 1. Then again 2, 3, 4, then 4, 3, 2. This is the second version. And in this way, we have 8 types of pathas. Pathas means the ways of reading or speaking the mantras. 8 तरह के पाठ हैं एक ही मंत्र को पढ़ने के. किस लिए? Just to preserve the original word intact through thousands of generations. So these are the pathas of the Vedas. Next, for each Ved, there are texts which are dealing with the variations of the sounds of the same mantra during recitation by different people and in different geographical locations, and they are known as Prātiśākhya. Now the word Prātiśākhya came. What is Prātiśākhya? Suppose when I use the word, I say the word Rishi. Rishi can be pronounced like Rushi. How many of you actually pronounce like Rushi? A lot of people pronounce Rushi. Rishi and Rishi, we have 2 types of pronunciations, but the sound is same, Rikara. So in different geographical locations, different type of people, they can use the different type of pronunciation for the same sound. And for keeping or preserving the variations of these sounds of different geographical locations, we have Prātiśākhya granthas. That's why Prātiśākhya texts deal how the sounds are pronounced. Practically, what are the possible variations because of the geographical or regional variations. They are the Prātiśākhyas. There are total 21 branches of the Rig Veda which are currently available to us, 21 branches of the Rig Veda. And Rig Prātiśākhya of Rig Veda explains how to articulate 2085 varieties of akara. Akara, the short syllable a, the single sound, the base sound a. This can also be pronounced 2085. 2085 variations of the akara. So, this is preserved in Rik Prātiśākhya. Now, you can understand our ancestors are more intelligent or we are more intelligent. When we compare our knowledge with the ancient knowledge corpus, we feel that we are not progressing, we are lacking and much behind. बहुत कुछ छोड़ दिया है, इसलिए बहुत कुछ पता नहीं है. Now, it can be said that they are dealing with the phonetics of a particular school of text. The difference between Prātiśākhya and Śikṣā Grantha is that Prātiśākhyas reverse the process of analyzing the sounds. Phonetics or Śikṣā tells us how the words are pronounced and then how they are received, while Prātiśākhyas tell us how the word has been received and then how the sounds are pronounced. Simple. Śikṣā, whenever you try to study by yourself Vedas. So, first of all, you have to study 6 Vedāṅgas. Like you want to read the mantra, but you don't know the Vedic sounds. So, because you don't know the sounds itself, you can't read the mantra. So, first you have to read Śikṣā Grantha. Śikṣā will tell you what is the proper sound and in that particular mantra which sound is being used. So, in Śikṣā Grantha we deal with the phonetics, how this sound should be pronounced or uttered, and Prātiśākhyas will tell you that this same sound is received by the practice through different persons in different geographical variations. So, in short, Śikṣā will tell you how this pronunciation, what is actually this base sound, what is the actual base pronunciation of this sound, that will be dealt by Śikṣā. And when we will study the Prātiśākhyas, then we will get the knowledge in how much variations the same sound can be produced. This is the base difference between Śikṣā and Prātiśākhyas. Now, the next 6 you can see in the Shruti Shastra we have 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, then 6 Vedāṅgas, Śikṣā, Kalpa, Vyākaraṇa, Chanda, Nirukta and Jyotiṣa, then Brahmana Grantha, 26 Brahmana Grantha. That is why I told you the example in the for the first 2 lectures, like from the Shatpath Brahman, and I told you Brahman means Brahman text, and we have 26 Brahman text. Then Aranyak, then Upanishads, and then we move to the Smriti Shastra. So, here Vedāṅgas are what? If somebody asks you what is Vedāṅga, so Vedāṅgas are the auxiliary sciences, they help you to read and study or understand the Vedas. Brahmanas are the liturgical texts which are dominant of the rituals. Then Aranyakas are the extracts of the Brahmana Granthas which contain the totality of the ideas, and there are compositions God created in these are the compositions God created in the forest. Now, the word Aranyak becomes derived from Aranya. Aranya means forest. So, because these texts were disseminated by the Guru to the Shishya in forest, that is why they are Aranyakas. And from Aranyak we have Upanishads. Upanishads are one theme dominant sciences, they are extracted from the Aranyak. After that we have Smriti Shastra. Shruti is based on listening, that is dominant by the listening to the things. Smriti is a recollected knowledge. When you are recollecting what has been taught in the class, after going from the class, when you recollect the same knowledge, it will become Smriti because it has already came to your mind. So, Smriti Shastras are based on remembrance of the norms which were followed in the society, and in turn they were dependent on the Shruti itself. In a state of conflict between Shruti and Smriti, Shruti is supposed to be followed. Whenever if you would have been trained through a traditional system of education, Indian education system, whenever you would have begun the study of the Smriti Shastra, the first rule will be, if there is any conflict between Shruti and Smriti, follow the Shruti. This is the first rule. beginning में ही बता दिया जाएगा, because Shruti is the authoritative, authentic one, and Smriti is based on remembrance. So as per the need or of the society or the hour, or as per the different possibilities, it may happen that Shruti can have variations. So at that time Shruti, Smriti can have variations, and that time it's an important rule that you have to follow the Shruti. Dharma Shastra deals with the norms which are actually rules and regulations and conduct in the society. That is why Dharma Shastra, and Dharma is also not equal to religion. I told you in the first introduction itself. We should hesitate by doing translations. So once I will touch in detail what is Dharma Shastra, I will explain what is the meaning of the Dharma Shastra. Then Puran, we have 18 Puranas, and Itihas, 2 Itihas, Darshan, 16 Darshanas. So Puran and Itihas, we need to have the understanding of Puran and Itihas. What is Itihas? Itihas deals with the events as happened. If you break the word itihasa, iti then has. Has means that has been occurred, and iti matlab as. That is why when we practiced in Sanskrit, like if you ever get time to read Aryabhattiyam of Aryabhatta, he derives the formula, and at last he mentions iti siddham, hence proved. So for hence proved, we use the word in Sanskrit iti siddham. Iti means as this, as it is, or this one. Iti word stops the complete, or it suggests the completion of something. So here itihasa says that the events as happened, that is itihasa. So itihasa is not equal to the history. History can be rewritten again and again, as per the opinions, as per the comforts, as per the a lot of the things, influences. But itihas is the actual happened event, and in that sense we have two major evidences. One is Ramayana, second is Mahabharata. They both are itihas. And when we deal with the itihas of longer period of time, that is Kalpa and Manvantar, not of the thousands of the years. Kalpa and Manvantar will be 10 to the power of 50 something. This one will be, I will explain the concept of time and space in the further lectures. Then I will tell you what is Kalpa, what is Manvantar, and Puran is that kind of corpus which deals with the actual events which have already happened, but in a longer period of time, maybe Kalpa and Manvantaras. That is why they are Puran. So we have 18 Puranas, 2 Itihas, and lastly what is directly perceived or by the, just like Vedas are directly perceived knowledge and they are perceived by rishis. In the same way, when suppose in the future someone among us becomes efficient and sophisticated enough to perceive the things directly, that will create a darshan. That's why we have darshanas, 16 darshanas. They are also directly perceived knowledge, and they are based on logical exposition of the reality. So this is the difference between darshan and Ved. Ved are the directly perceived knowledge of the rishis, and these are darshanas are directly perceived by the later ones. So we have 16 darshanas also. This much is the first diagram. This is the first diagram which we covered today, that is figure 1.2. Then in the next class we will discuss next possible mode of classification, that is agam and nigam. So for this lecture this is sufficient. Thank you.